All right, let's jump right in. We all think we know how old we are, right? It's the number of candles on our last birthday cake. But what if I told you there's another clock, a much more accurate one, ticking away deep inside your cells? This isn't about years. It's about your true biological age. And understanding this is one of the biggest revolutions in the science of longevity.
So let me just ask you this. How old are your cells, really? It sounds like a simple question, but the answer is anything but. You might be 45 on paper, but your cells could be chugging along like a 35-year-old's. Or they could be aging way faster. This internal stopwatch is what scientists have dubbed the epigenetic clock.
Okay, so this is the absolute key to getting this. On one hand, you've got your chronological age. That's the fixed number, the trips you've taken around the sun. Can't change that. But on the other hand, you have your biological age, and that's a whole different ballgame. It's a dynamic measure of the real-time wear and tear on your body. It's the difference between how long you've been around and how well you're aging.
So you're probably wondering, how on earth do we measure something like that? Well, the secret isn't actually in our DNA code itself. Nope. It's in this layer of control that sits right on top of it, kind of like a director conducting a genetic orchestra. And this, my friends, is the world of epigenetics.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think of a computer. Your DNA, that's the hardware. It's pretty much set in stone. But epigenetics, that's the software. It's a set of instructions telling your genes when to power on and when to shut down, all based on signals from your life, your diet, your stress, your environment. It doesn't rewrite the hardware. It just tells it what programs to run.
And at the very heart of all this software is a process called DNA methylation. Now, I know it sounds super technical, but the concept is actually really simple. Just imagine tiny little chemical tags, almost like sticky notes, that get attached to your DNA all throughout your life.
These little sticky notes, these methylation marks, they basically act like light switches. In some places, they get stuck on, and boom, they flip a switch that turns a gene on. That tells the gene to get to work, to do its job, whether that's fighting off a cold or repairing some damage.
And you guessed it, in other spots, they do the exact opposite. They can flip a gene off, just silencing it, so it stops giving orders. Now look, this isn't a bad thing. It's a completely normal and essential process. But, and this is the big but, the pattern of all these on and off switches changes in a very predictable way as we get older. For the longest time, scientists could see these patterns changing, but it all just looked like, well, noise, random chaos. And then, bam, a massive breakthrough. Researchers finally figured out how to decode the message, how to read these patterns and turn them into a real, functional clock.
It all came together back in 2013. A researcher at UCLA, Dr. Horvath, did something incredible. He analyzed thousands, and I mean thousands, of DNA samples from all sorts of people and tissues. And he found it. He found the signal in the noise. He pinpointed the specific methylation sites that change with almost jaw-dropping predictability as we age, and he built a model to read them.
So, how accurate was this new clock? Get this, it was stunningly accurate. His model could predict a person's chronological age to within just 3 years. Think about that. For the very first time, we had a reliable biological stopwatch.
But, okay, let's be real. Knowing your age isn't the amazing part. You already know that from your driver's license, right? The real magic, the real power of this clock comes into play when your biological age and your chronological age don't line up.
So what does it actually mean? What is your body trying to tell you when that epigenetic number is higher or lower than the number of birthdays you've celebrated?
Honestly, it's pretty straightforward. If your biological age is younger than your calendar age, that's fantastic news. It suggests your body's aging more slowly than average, which puts you at a lower risk for a lot of age-related diseases. But if it's older, well, that's a heads up. It can be a warning sign of accelerated aging, often tied to things like chronic stress or inflammation.
And you know how science works? It didn't stop there. Things have moved so fast, we now have these next-generation clocks. I mean, look at something like GrimAge. Yeah, I know, spooky name, but it's scarily accurate at predicting not just age, but your health span and even mortality risk. Then there's Dunedin Pace, which is a total game changer. It measures the speed at which you're aging right now. It's like a speedometer for your own aging process. Now, hearing all this, you might be thinking, it sounds a little, I don't know, deterministic. But here's where it gets really, really exciting. This is the best part of the whole story. Your biological age is not set in stone.
You have a say in how fast that clock ticks. That's because our biology is incredibly dynamic. Every single day, every choice you make is writing those little sticky notes onto your DNA. Every meal, every workout, every good night's sleep, or bad one, is actively programming your epigenome. You're not just a passenger here, you are an active participant in your own aging process.
So what can you actually do about it? Well, the science points to some pretty clear big-ticket items. We're talking about managing stress. Yep, things like meditation really can slow the clock. Getting some kind of movement in every single day keeps your body's machinery young. Eating a diet packed with plants gives your cells the right building blocks. And, of course, getting that deep, restorative sleep, that's when your body does its most important repair work.
So the big takeaway here is that the epigenetic clock represents this profound shift in how we view aging. It's no longer this inevitable, mysterious force that just happens to us. It's a biological process, and it's a process we can now measure, we can influence, and, in some cases, maybe even begin to reverse. Ultimately, what this incredible science is telling us is that your age really isn't just a number. It's a story, a living, dynamic story that's being written inside your cells every single day. And the most powerful part of all,